I will never forget the moment my sister Brittany stood up at Thanksgiving dinner, tapped her wine glass with her fork, and smiled like she had just won the lottery. The turkey was still steaming on the table. My father sat at the head, my mother to his right, and I was tucked in the corner near the kitchen door like always. Brittany's husband, Kyle, smirked beside her. Their 2 kids were coloring at the smaller table nearby. She cleared her throat dramatically and said, "I have amazing news. Mom and Dad are signing the house over to me. Deanna gets nothing." Everyone cheered. I smiled and asked, "Dad, should I tell them? Or will you?" His fork dropped. Brittany screamed, "Tell us what?" The silence that followed felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My father's face went white. My mother stopped mid-chew. Kyle's smirk faltered. Brittany's eyes darted between me and our father, her confidence cracking at the edges. I kept my smile steady, even though my heart was hammering so hard I thought everyone could hear it. This was the moment I had been preparing for. The moment when everything would finally come to light. Let me take you back to how we got here. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. Brittany was 3 years younger, and from the time she could walk, she was the golden child. She had our mother's blonde hair and green eyes. I had our father's dark hair and plain brown eyes. Brittany was a cheerleader. I was in the science club. Brittany got a brand new car for her 16th birthday. I got a used bicycle. When it came time for college, my parents paid for Brittany's entire 4 years at a state university, including her sorority fees, her apartment, and her spring break trips. I got a hug and a good luck card. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through nursing school. I waitressed at a diner on weekends, stocked shelves at a grocery store on weeknights, and cleaned houses on my days off. I graduated with honors and $20,000 in student loans. Brittany graduated with a degree in communications she never used, and 0 debt. When she married Kyle 5 years ago, my parents paid for the entire wedding. It cost $30,000. They rented a vineyard, hired a live band, and flew in orchids from Hawaii. When I got engaged 2 years later, my fiancé left me 3 months before the wedding. My parents sent flowers and a card that said, "Everything happens for a reason." I stopped expecting fairness a long time ago. I stopped expecting them to see me. But 6 months ago, everything changed. My father started forgetting things, little things at first. Where he put his keys, what day of the week it was. Then bigger things. Appointments, conversations, names. My mother called me in a panic one Tuesday afternoon and told me he had been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. She said they needed help. I took a family medical leave from my job at the hospital and moved back home. That is when I found the documents. I was looking for my father's insurance information in his desk when I came across a folder labeled Financial. Inside were loan statements, past due notices, and a reverse mortgage agreement. My parents had taken out a reverse mortgage on the house 3 years ago. They owed nearly $200,000. The house was worth maybe $350,000. There was also a stack of letters from Brittany and Kyle, printed emails, and text message screenshots. They had been pressuring my parents to sign the house over to them for the past 2 years. One letter from Brittany said, "Mom, you know Kyle and I are struggling. If you and Dad sign the house over now, we can sell it and help you find a nice little apartment. You do not need all that space anymore." Another email from Kyle said, "Richard, you are getting older. Let us take care of this for you. We will handle everything. You will not have to worry." The messages were manipulative and relentless. I felt sick reading them. Then I found something even worse. A note in my father's handwriting, dated 4 months ago. It said, "I am scared. Brittany keeps pushing me to sign papers. I do not understand what they say. Susan says I should just do it. I do not know who to trust. I wish Deanna were here." That note broke me. I sat on the floor of his office and cried. My father, the man who raised me, who taught me how to ride a bike and how to change a tire, was terrified and alone. The next day, I called an attorney. I explained the situation. She told me I needed to act fast. We filed for power of attorney, and my father, in a moment of clarity, signed the documents willingly. He looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "You are the only one I trust." I promised him I would protect him. I promised him I would fix this, and I have spent the last 6 months doing exactly that. Now, sitting at this Thanksgiving table with Brittany, standing there like she had already won, I felt a strange calm. I had been dreading this moment, but I was also ready for it. My father's fork was still on the floor. My mother was staring at me with wide eyes. Kyle was halfway out of his chair. Brittany's voice was shrill when she repeated, "Tell us what, Deanna? What are you talking about?" I set down my napkin slowly. I looked at my father. He nodded, just barely. I turned to Brittany and said, 6 months ago, Dad came to me. He told me you and Kyle had been pressuring him to sign over the house. He told me he was scared. He asked me for help, so I helped him. I have power of attorney, and I know everything." The room exploded. Brittany's face went from confusion to rage in half a second. She slammed her hand on the table and shouted, "You what? You manipulated him. He is sick, Deanna. You took advantage of him." Kyle stood up fully now, his chair scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. He pointed at me and said, "This is illegal. You cannot just swoop in and take control of someone's life because they are vulnerable. We will sue you." I stayed seated. I folded my hands in my lap and kept my voice even. I did not manipulate anyone. Dad asked for my help. He was terrified of what you two were trying to do, and he had every right to be. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and set it on the table. "Would you like to hear why?" My mother reached across the table and put her hand on mine. Her voice was soft, pleading. "Deanna, please, this is Thanksgiving. Can we not do this now? Let us just have a nice meal and talk about this later." I looked at her and saw something I had seen my whole life. She was protecting Brittany. Again. Always. I pulled my hand away. "No, Mom. We are doing this now." I unlocked my phone and opened the voice memo app. I had recorded dozens of conversations over the past 6 months, some with my father's permission, some without. I scrolled to one from 3 months ago and pressed play. Brittany's voice came through the speaker, loud and clear. "I am telling you, Kyle. Once we get that house, we are selling it immediately. We can get at least $300,000 for it, maybe more. We will pay off our debts, buy something bigger in North Carolina, and finally get out of this town." Kyle's voice responded, "What about your parents? Where are they going to live?" Brittany laughed. It was a cold, dismissive laugh. "They have Social Security. They can figure it out. We have kids to think about. This is our chance." I stopped the recording. The silence was deafening. Brittany's face had gone from red to pale. Kyle looked like he might be sick. My mother's mouth was open, but no sound came out. My father was staring at the table, his shoulders shaking. I realized he was crying. "That," I said quietly, "is what you were planning. You were going to take the house, sell it, and leave Mom and Dad to fend for themselves. You were going to abandon them." Brittany sat down hard in her chair. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally, she whispered, "That is out of context. You do not understand." I leaned forward. "Then explain it to me. Explain how that is out of context." She could not. Instead, Kyle stepped in. His voice was defensive, angry. "We are in a tough spot, okay? We have been struggling. My business failed. We are drowning in debt. We needed help, and your parents have this huge house they do not even need anymore." It made sense. It was practical. I nodded slowly. "So, you thought you would just take it, without asking what they wanted, without considering their needs. You just decided you deserved it more." "That is not fair," Brittany said, her voice rising again. "You have always had it easy, Deanna. You have your nursing job, your independence. You do not have kids. You do not understand what it is like to be responsible for other people." I laughed. I could not help it. It came out bitter and sharp. "I have had it easy? Brittany, I worked 3 jobs to pay for college while you partied on Mom and Dad's dime. I lived in a basement apartment with no heat for 2 years while you lived in a luxury complex. I have been sleeping on this couch for 6 months taking care of Dad while you have been planning how to steal his house. Do not talk to me about responsibility." My mother cut in, her voice firm. "That is enough. Both of you. This is not helping." I turned to her. "No, Mom. This is helping. For the first time in my life, the truth is helping. Because I am not done." I picked up my phone again and opened a folder. I had spent weeks compiling evidence, bank statements, credit reports, loan documents. I had everything. "Brittany, Kyle, Do you want to tell everyone why you really need this house? Or should I? Brittany's eyes went wide. Kyle grabbed her arm, shaking his head. But I was already talking. You two are $93,000 in debt. Credit cards, personal loans, and a failed business loan for Kyle's landscaping company that went under 2 years ago. You are 3 months behind on your mortgage. Your house is in pre-foreclosure. You were not planning to help Mom and Dad. You were planning to save yourselves. Brittany burst into tears. Not the pretty, delicate kind, the ugly, desperate kind. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. Kyle's jaw was tight, his fists clenched. My mother looked horrified. My father just kept crying silently. I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. This was my family. This was what we had become. I did not want it to be like this, I said. And I meant it. I wanted to believe you cared about them. I wanted to believe you were better than this. But you are not. And I could not let you destroy them to save yourselves. Brittany looked up at me, mascara running down her cheeks. You do not understand what it is like. You do not have kids. You do not know what it is like to be desperate. You are right, I said. I do not have kids. But I do know what it is like to be desperate. I know what it is like to work myself to exhaustion and still come up short. I know what it is like to sacrifice everything and get nothing in return. The difference between us, Brittany, is that I did not try to steal from the people who loved me. I did not manipulate my sick father to save myself. I asked for help. I worked harder, and I figured it out. You could have done the same. But you chose this. My father finally spoke. His voice was hoarse, shaky, but clear. She is right. Everyone turned to look at him. He wiped his eyes with his napkin and sat up straighter. Deanna is right. I knew what you were doing, Brittany. I knew. And it broke my heart. I kept hoping you would stop. I kept hoping you would see me as your father, not as a bank account. But you did not. And when I could not take it anymore, I asked Deanna for help. She is the only one who did not want something from me. She is the only one who saw me. Brittany stood up abruptly, her chair tipping backward and clattering to the floor. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe you are all turning on me. I am your daughter. I am your sister. And you are treating me like a criminal. I stood up too. You are treating yourself like a criminal. I am just telling the truth. Kyle stepped between us, his face twisted in anger. You think you are so much better than us, do not you? You think because you are a nurse and you took care of your dad for a few months that you are some kind of saint? You are not. You are just bitter and alone. And you are taking it out on us. His words stung, but I did not flinch. I had heard worse. I had thought worse about myself on my darkest days. I do not think I am better than you, I said quietly. I just think I am honest. And right now, that is enough. Kyle shook his head and turned to my father. Richard, you cannot let her do this. She is poisoning you against your own family. She is manipulating you just like she is accusing us of doing. You need to stop this before it is too late. My father looked at Kyle with an expression I had never seen before. It was not anger. It was disappointment. Deep, aching disappointment. Kyle, I have known you for 7 years. You married my daughter. You are the father of my grandchildren. I have welcomed you into my home, my life, my family. And you have spent the last 2 years trying to take everything from me. Do not talk to me about manipulation. Do not talk to me about family. You do not know what those words mean. Brittany grabbed Kyle's arm, pulling him back. She looked at me, her eyes red and desperate. Deanna, please. We made mistakes, okay? We were scared. We did not know what else to do. But we can fix this. We can work this out. Just give us a chance. For a split second, I almost believed her. Almost. But then I remembered the letters, the emails, the recordings, the months of lies and pressure and manipulation. I remembered my father's note. I am scared. It is too late for that, I said. You had chances. You had so many chances to do the right thing. You could have come to me. You could have asked for help. You could have been honest. But you were not. You chose to lie. You chose to manipulate. You chose to hurt the people who loved you. And now you have to live with that. Brittany's face crumpled again. She sank back into her chair and buried her face in her hands. My mother, who had been silent through all of this, finally spoke. Her voice was cold, harder than I had ever heard it. Deanna, you had no right to go through your father's private documents. You had no right to record conversations without people knowing. You have violated our privacy and our trust. I do not care what you think you found. What you did was wrong. I stared at her. I could not believe what I was hearing. What I did was protect Dad. What I did was stop you and Brittany from ruining his life. And if you think that is wrong, then I do not know what to say to you. You always think you know best, my mother said, her voice rising. You always think you are the smart one, the responsible one. But you are not. You are judgmental and self-righteous, and you have always looked down on your sister. This is not about protecting your father. This is about proving you are better than Brittany. It is about finally getting the attention you always wanted. Her words hit me like a slap. I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Is that what you really think? I asked. My voice was shaking now. You think I did this for attention? Mom, I gave up everything to take care of Dad. I lost my apartment. I am living out of 2 suitcases. I have been sleeping on your couch for 6 months. I have been giving him his medications, taking him to his appointments, helping him shower on the days when he is too confused to do it himself. I have been here every single day, while Brittany has been plotting how to steal from him. And you think I did this for attention? My mother's face was hard, unyielding. Nobody asked you to do any of that. That was your choice. You could have said no. You could have let us handle it. But you did not, because you wanted to be the hero. You wanted to swoop in and save the day so everyone would finally see you. Well, congratulations, Deanna. Everyone sees you now. Are you happy? I felt something inside me break. It was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet and final, like a door closing. No, I said softly. I am not happy. I am heartbroken, because I just realized that you knew. You knew what Brittany was doing, and you helped her. My mother's face went pale. Brittany looked up sharply. Kyle froze. My father's head snapped toward my mother. What? He whispered. I reached into my bag, which was sitting on the floor beside my chair. I pulled out a folded piece of paper. My hands were shaking as I unfolded it. 2 weeks ago, I found this in Dad's desk. It is a letter. From you, Mom. To Brittany. Dated 1 month ago. I started reading aloud. Brittany, I know you are worried about the house situation. Your father has been more confused lately, which might actually work in our favor. I suggest you visit on mornings when he is more agreeable. Try to keep Deanna away when you come over. She asks too many questions. If you can get him to sign the transfer papers, we can move forward with your plan. I will support you. Love. Mom. The room was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. My father was staring at my mother like he had never seen her before. Brittany had gone completely still. Kyle looked like he wanted to disappear. My mother's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. I folded the letter back up and set it on the table in front of her. You were not just enabling her, I said. You were actively helping her manipulate Dad. You were coaching her on how to take advantage of his dementia. You were telling her how to avoid me so I would not find out. You knew exactly what you were doing, and you did it anyway. My mother's face flushed red. That is not what that letter means. You are twisting my words. I was just trying to help Brittany. She needed support. Support? I asked. You call that support? Mom, you were helping her exploit Dad's illness. You were helping her steal from him. How is that support? My mother stood up abruptly. I have had enough of this. I do not have to sit here and listen to you accuse me of terrible things. I am your mother. I deserve respect. I stood up too. Respect is earned. And you lost mine the day you decided Brittany's needs were more important than Dad's safety. My father was crying again. But this time it was different. These were not tears of fear or confusion. These were tears of betrayal. He looked at my mother and said, How could you? How could you do this to me? I am your husband. I trusted you. My mother's face twisted. You do not understand. You do not know what it has been like, living with you, taking care of you. I am exhausted, Richard. I am tired. And Brittany needed help. I just wanted to help my daughter. By hurting your husband? I asked. By letting her steal from him? That is not help, Mom. That is cruelty. My mother grabbed her purse from the back of her chair. I am leaving. I am not going to stand here and be attacked by my own daughter. Brittany. Kyle. Let us go. Brittany stood up slowly. She looked at me one more time. I am sorry, she whispered. But I did not know if she meant it. I did not know if she even understood what she was apologizing for. Kyle grabbed their kids, who had been sitting silently at the other table, wide-eyed and scared. They left without another word. My father and I sat alone at the table. The turkey was cold. The mashed potatoes were congealed. The cranberry sauce had hardened in its bowl. My father reached across the table and took my hand. Thank you, he said. Thank you for protecting me. I squeezed his hand. Always, Dad, always. The days after Thanksgiving were strange and heavy. My father barely spoke. He moved through the house like a ghost, sitting in his chair by the window for hours at a time, staring out at nothing. I tried to talk to him, but he would just nod and give me one-word answers. I understood. His world had shattered. The woman he had been married to for 38 years had betrayed him. His youngest daughter had tried to steal from him. His family, the thing he had built his entire life around, had turned out to be a lie. I was not doing much better. I kept replaying the dinner in my head. My mother's face when I read the letter, Brittany's sobs, Kyle's anger, the way my father's hand shook when he picked up his fork after everyone left. I had known the truth would hurt. I had prepared myself for anger and denial. But I had not prepared myself for the depth of the betrayal. I had not prepared myself to lose my mother. She called me 3 days after Thanksgiving. I almost did not answer. But something made me pick up. Hello. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Deanna. It is Mom. As if I did not know. As if her number was not still saved in my phone as Mom with a little heart emoji I had added when I was 16. I know. Silence. Then, we need to talk. I do not think we do, I said. I think you made yourself pretty clear at dinner. She sighed. It was a long, tired sigh. Deanna, you do not understand the whole situation. You do not know what I have been dealing with. Your father's illness, the financial problems, Brittany's struggles. I have been holding this family together by myself, and I am exhausted. I made some mistakes, but I did what I thought was best. I sat down on the couch. I suddenly felt very tired. You thought it was best to help Brittany manipulate Dad? You thought it was best to lie to me? To hide things from me? She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was defensive. Brittany needed help. She has children, Deanna. She has responsibilities. You do not understand what that is like. You have always been fine on your own. You have always been independent. But Brittany needs support. She needs family. And Dad does not. I asked. I do not? What about us, Mom? What about our needs? She made a frustrated noise. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You are making this about you. It is not about you. It is about your father's care and your sister's well-being. But you cannot see past your own feelings. I felt anger rise in my chest, hot and sharp. My feelings? Mom, I have spent 6 months taking care of Dad. I gave up my job, my apartment, my entire life to be here. And you are telling me I am selfish. I am saying you made those choices, she said. Nobody forced you. You could have said no. You could have let me handle it. But you did not, because you wanted to prove something. You wanted to show everyone that you are the good daughter, the responsible one. You wanted to make Brittany look bad. I could not believe what I was hearing. I stood up and started pacing. Is that really what you think? You think I did this to make Brittany look bad? Mom, Brittany made herself look bad. She tried to steal from her own father. I just stopped her. You turned her in to Adult Protective Services, my mother said, and her voice was cold now. Yes, Deanna, I know about that. They called me. They asked me questions about Brittany and Kyle. Do you know how humiliating that was? Do you know what that did to her? She could lose her children over this. I stopped pacing. What are you talking about? My mother's voice was sharp. APS opened an investigation. If they find evidence of financial abuse, they could report it to Child Services. Brittany could be deemed an unfit parent. You could destroy her entire life. I felt a twist of guilt. but I pushed it down. I did not destroy her life. She did. I reported what was happening because it is my legal obligation. Dad is a vulnerable adult. What Brittany and Kyle were doing is a crime. I had no choice. My mother laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. You always have a choice, Deanna. You chose to report her. You chose to humiliate her. You chose to tear this family apart. And for what? For a house? For money? Is that really worth it? It is not about the house, I said, and my voice broke. It is about Dad. It is about protecting him. It is about doing the right thing. Why can you not see that? She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, because the right thing is not always the kind thing. You could have handled this privately. You could have talked to Brittany. You could have worked something out. But you did not. You went nuclear. And now everyone is paying the price. I felt tears streaming down my face. I tried to talk to her. I tried for months, but she did not listen. She did not care. All she cared about was getting what she wanted. And you helped her. You enabled her. You told her how to manipulate Dad. How can you not see how wrong that is? My mother's voice went very quiet. I see a daughter who needed help. And I helped her. That is what mothers do. Maybe if you had children of your own, you would understand. That was it. That was the line. Do not, I said, my voice shaking. Do not you dare use that against me. You know why I do not have children. You know what happened with my engagement. And you are going to throw that in my face because I would not let you and Brittany steal from Dad? That is low. Even for you. She did not apologize. She did not take it back. She just said, I have to go. I will be staying with Brittany for a while. Your father needs space, and I think it is best if I am not there right now. That is probably the first smart thing you have said in months, I said. And I hung up. I stood there in the middle of the living room, shaking, crying, feeling like I had just lost something I could never get back. My father came out of his room. He looked at me, and without saying a word, he opened his arms. I walked into them and sobbed like a child. 2 days later, I got a call from my attorney. Her name was Jennifer, and she had been handling my father's case since the beginning. Deanna, I need to talk to you about something I found. My stomach dropped. What is it? She hesitated. I was going through some old estate documents for your father, and I came across something unusual. A letter from your grandmother, your dad's mother. It was written 10 years ago, right before she passed away. Okay, I said slowly. What does it say? Jennifer took a breath. It is addressed to you. In the letter, your grandmother states that she is leaving you a savings account with $40,000. She wanted you to have it to help you start your life. The account was in her name, with you listed as the sole beneficiary upon her death, but there is no record of you ever receiving that money. I sat down hard on the couch. What? I never got any letter. I never got any money. I know, Jennifer said. That is the problem. I did some digging. The account was closed 3 months after your grandmother died. The money was withdrawn in a single lump sum, and according to the bank records, the person who withdrew it was your mother. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My mother took it. Jennifer's voice was gentle. It looks that way. I have copies of the withdrawal slip and the signature. It is definitely hers. Deanna, this is theft. Your mother stole your inheritance. I could not breathe. I could not think. $40,000. Money my grandmother had left specifically for me. Money that could have changed my life. Money that could have paid off my student loans, helped me buy a car, given me a safety net. And my mother had taken it. Where did it go? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Based on the timing and some cross-referencing I did with other documents, it looks like the money was used to pay for Brittany's wedding. I hung up the phone. I did not say goodbye. I just ended the call and sat there, staring at the wall. My grandmother's face flashed in my mind. She had been a kind woman, strong and stubborn, with a laugh that filled a room. She had always told me I was special. She had always told me I would do great things. And she had left me money to help me do those things. But I never got it, because my mother gave it to Brittany instead. I felt something crack open inside me. It was not anger. It was not even sadness. It was something deeper. It was the final, absolute understanding that I had never mattered to my mother. Not really. I had always been second, always been less. And no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, that would never change. I sat on that couch for hours, crying, grieving, letting go of the mother I had always wished I had. And when the tears finally stopped, I felt empty. But I also felt free. Thanksgiving had been over a week ago, but the fallout was still unfolding. My father had finally started talking again, asking questions, wanting to understand the full scope of what had been happening behind his back. I sat with him at the kitchen table one morning, coffee growing cold between us, and walked him through everything: the reverse mortgage, the debts, the manipulation, and finally, the stolen inheritance. When I told him about my grandmother's money, his face went gray. He set down his mug with shaking hands and covered his mouth. "Oh, Deanna. Oh, sweetheart. I had no idea. Your grandmother made me promise I would make sure you got that money. She told me it was for you, only you. I thought Susan had given it to you. I asked her about it once, and she said she had taken care of it. I trusted her." His voice broke on the last word. "It is not your fault, Dad," I said, reaching across the table to take his hand. "You did not know. None of this is your fault." He shook his head, tears streaming down his weathered face. "I should have checked. I should have made sure. I failed you. I failed my mother. I failed at the one thing she asked me to do." I squeezed his hand tighter. "You did not fail anyone. You have been sick. You have been vulnerable. The people who failed were the ones who took advantage of that." He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "What are we going to do?" I had been thinking about that question for days. Jennifer had laid out my options. I could report the theft to the police. I could file a civil suit. I could pursue criminal charges. Or I could let it go. Part of me wanted to let it go. Part of me was so tired of fighting, so exhausted from the constant battle, that I just wanted to walk away. But another part of me, the part that had been ignored and dismissed and undervalued my entire life, refused to be silent anymore. "I am going to get that money back," I said, "and I am going to make sure this never happens to anyone else." My father nodded slowly. "What do you need from me?" I smiled at him. It was a sad, weary smile, but it was real. "I need you to trust me, and I need you to be ready, because this is going to get worse before it gets better." He squeezed my hand. "I trust you, and I am ready." That afternoon, Jennifer filed a civil suit against my mother for the theft of my inheritance. She also filed an emergency motion to freeze any joint assets my parents had to prevent my mother from draining their accounts. Within 24 hours, my mother's attorney contacted Jennifer. They wanted to negotiate. They wanted to settle. They did not want this to go to court. I was not surprised. My mother had always been good at avoiding consequences, but I was not interested in making things easy for her. Not this time. I told Jennifer to proceed with the suit. I wanted a judge to hear what my mother had done. I wanted it on record. I wanted accountability. Jennifer warned me that it would be ugly. Family court cases always were. But I did not care. I had spent my whole life trying to keep the peace, trying not to rock the boat, trying to be the good daughter who did not cause trouble. And where had that gotten me? Nowhere. 3 days after the suit was filed, Brittany called me. I almost did not answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "What do you want, Brittany?" My voice was flat, emotionless. She was crying. Of course she was crying. "Deanna, please. You have to stop this. You are destroying Mom. You are destroying all of us. Please, just drop the lawsuit. We will figure something out. We will pay you back." "With what money?" I asked. "You are $93,000 in debt. Your house is in foreclosure. How exactly are you planning to pay me back $40,000? She sobbed harder. "I do not know. We will figure it out. Please, Deanna. She is our mother. You cannot do this to her." I felt a cold, hard anger settle in my chest. I am not doing anything to her. She did this to herself. She stole from me. She lied to me. She helped you try to steal from Dad. She made her choices, and now she has to face the consequences. "You are going to send her to jail," Brittany said, her voice rising in panic. "Do you understand that? If you press charges, she could go to jail. Is that what you want? Do you want to see our mother in prison?" I took a deep breath. "What I want is for her to take responsibility for what she did." What I want is for her to admit that she was wrong. What I want is for her to give me back the money that was mine. If she does that, I will consider dropping the criminal charges. But I am not letting this go. Not this time. Brittany was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You have changed. You used to be so sweet, so kind. What happened to you?" I laughed. It was not a happy sound. I grew up. I realized that being sweet and kind was not getting me anywhere. I realized that the people I loved were using me. I realized that if I did not stand up for myself, nobody else would. That is what happened to me. She hung up without another word. That night, Kyle showed up at the house. I saw him through the window, standing on the porch, looking uncertain. I debated not answering, but my father was in the living room, and I did not want him to have to deal with this. So I opened the door. "What do you want, Kyle?" He looked tired. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair messy. "I need to talk to you. Just 5 minutes, please." I crossed my arms. "You have 3. He took a breath. "Brittany and I are losing everything. Our house, our savings, everything. We are moving in with my parents next month. My kids are going to have to change schools. Brittany is falling apart, and it is all because of you." I raised an eyebrow. "No, it is all because of you. You made bad financial decisions. You tried to steal from my father. You got caught. Do not blame me for the consequences of your own actions." His jaw tightened. "You do not get it, do you? You do not understand what it is like to have people depending on you. You do not understand the pressure. We were desperate. We made mistakes. But we do not deserve to lose everything over it." I stepped closer to him. My father was desperate too. He was scared and confused and vulnerable. But you did not care about that. You only cared about yourselves. So do not come to my door and ask me to feel sorry for you. You do not get my sympathy. You do not get my mercy. You get exactly what you deserve. His face twisted with anger. "You are going to regret this. You are going to end up alone, bitter, with nobody. And you are going to realize too late that you destroyed your own family for nothing." I smiled. It was a cold, hard smile. I did not destroy my family. I revealed what it always was. "Now get off my porch." He stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away. I closed the door and locked it. My father was standing in the hallway. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah, Dad, I am okay." 2 weeks later, we went to court. It was a preliminary hearing, just to establish the facts and set a trial date. My mother was there with her attorney, a sharp-looking woman in a navy suit. My mother would not look at me. She sat with her hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead. The judge reviewed the evidence. The letter from my grandmother, the bank records, the withdrawal slip, my mother's signature. It was all there, clear as day. The judge looked at my mother. "Mrs. Harper, do you dispute that you withdrew $40,000 from an account that was designated for your daughter?" My mother's attorney leaned over and whispered something to her. My mother shook her head. "No, Your Honor, I do not dispute it." The judge frowned. "Can you explain why you withdrew the money and did not give it to your daughter as intended?" My mother finally looked up. Her eyes met mine for just a second before she looked away. "I used it for my other daughter's wedding. I thought it was the right thing to do at the time. Brittany needed help, and Deanna was doing fine on her own. I did not think it would matter." The judge's frown deepened. "You did not think it would matter that you took $40,000 that was legally designated for someone else and used it for your own purposes." My mother's voice was small. "I thought I was helping my family." The judge looked at me. "Miss Harper, what are you seeking in this case?" Jennifer stood. "Your Honor, my client is seeking full restitution of the $40,000, plus interest accrued over the 10 years since the theft, and legal fees. We are also requesting that the court consider criminal charges for financial elder abuse and theft." The judge nodded. "I am ordering mediation. You have 30 days to reach a settlement. If you cannot, we will proceed to trial. Court is adjourned." As we left the courtroom, my mother's attorney approached Jennifer. They spoke in low voices for a few minutes. Then Jennifer came over to me. "They want to settle. They are offering to pay back the $40,000 in installments over 5 years, plus $10,000 for legal fees. No admission of guilt. No criminal charges." I looked at my mother. She was standing by the door, looking small and defeated. Part of me felt sorry for her, but most of me felt nothing. "Tell them I will think about it," I said. Jennifer nodded. We walked out into the bright afternoon sun. My father was waiting by the car. "How did it go?" he asked. I took his arm and helped him into the passenger seat. "It went fine, Dad. It is going to be okay." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. The mediation was scheduled for 3 weeks later. In the meantime, life continued in its strange, fractured way. My father's health had actually improved. His doctor said that the reduction in stress was likely helping. He was sleeping better, eating better, and his moments of confusion were fewer and farther between. It was as if removing the source of his anxiety had given his mind room to heal. I had started looking for a new apartment. I could not stay on my parents' couch forever, and I needed to rebuild my own life. But every time I looked at listings, I felt a pang of guilt. My father needed me. Who would take care of him if I left? Who would make sure he took his medications on time, or help him when he had a bad day? I brought it up to him one evening as we sat watching television. "Dad, I have been thinking. I need to find a place to live, but I do not want to leave you alone. What if we looked for a place together? A duplex or something, where we could each have our own space but still be close?" He looked at me with such love and gratitude that I felt my throat tighten. "You would do that for me?" he asked. I squeezed his hand. "Of course I would. You are my dad. I am not going anywhere." But before we could start looking, something unexpected happened. I got a call from a number I did not recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. "Hello." A woman's voice, warm and slightly uncertain, came through the line. "Deanna, this is Patricia. Your Aunt Patricia." I sat up straight. Aunt Patricia, my father's sister. I had not spoken to her since I was a teenager. She had cut off contact with the family years ago, and nobody would tell me why. "Aunt Patricia? Hi. This is a surprise." She laughed softly. "I imagine it is. Listen, I heard about what happened at Thanksgiving. Your cousin Emma told me. She heard it from someone who knows Kyle's brother. Small town gossip, you know how it is." I did not know what to say. "Oh, yeah, it has been a difficult few weeks." She was quiet for a moment. "Deanna, I want to tell you something. The reason I stopped talking to your family 15 years ago was because of your mother." My heart started beating faster. "What do you mean?" Patricia sighed. "Susan and I never got along. She was always cold to me, always made me feel unwelcome. But the final straw was when your grandmother got sick. I wanted to take care of her, to bring her to my house so she would not be alone. But Susan convinced your father that it was too much trouble, that your grandmother should go into a nursing home. We fought about it. Susan said terrible things to me. She told me I was selfish, that I did not understand what real family sacrifice meant. So I left. I cut ties with all of you, and I have regretted it every day since." Tears were streaming down my face. I did not know. Nobody told me. Patricia's voice was thick with emotion. "I know, and I am so sorry. I should have reached out to you. I should have stayed in touch. But I was hurt and angry, and I made a mistake. When I heard what happened, what Susan and Brittany tried to do to Richard, I knew I had to call. I knew I had to make things right." I wiped my eyes. I do not know what to say. "You do not have to say anything," Patricia said. "I just want you to know that I am here. If you need anything, anything at all, I am here. And Deanna, I want to help. I have done well for myself. I am a real estate investor. I own several properties. I would like to help you and Richard. I would like to help you fix up the house, make it accessible for him, make it a safe place for both of you. Let me do this. Let me be the family I should have been all along." I could barely speak through my tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." We talked for another hour. She told me about her life, her business, her kids. I told her about nursing school, about my father's illness, about everything that had happened. By the end of the call, I felt lighter than I had in months. I was not alone. I had family who cared. Real family. The next day, Patricia drove up from Charleston. She was tall and elegant, with my father's dark hair streaked with silver and kind brown eyes. When my father saw her, he broke down crying. They held each other for a long time, both of them apologizing, both of them grieving the lost years. It was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. Over the next few days, Patricia walked through the house with a contractor friend of hers, making notes, taking measurements, discussing renovations. She wanted to install grab bars in the bathrooms, widen the doorways for potential wheelchair access in the future, update the kitchen to make it safer and more functional. And she was going to pay for all of it. "This is my way of making amends," she said. "Let me do this." The mediation arrived faster than I expected. We sat in a small conference room, my father and I on one side of the table with Jennifer, my mother and her attorney on the other. A mediator, a calm woman in her 50s with gray hair and a gentle voice, sat at the head of the table. "Let us begin," she said. "Mrs. Harper, I understand you have a settlement offer." My mother's attorney slid a folder across the table. Jennifer opened it and read through the documents. Her expression did not change. "My client is offering to repay the $40,000 over a period of 5 years in monthly installments of $667. She is also offering to pay $15,000 in legal fees. In exchange, Miss Deanna Harper will agree to drop all criminal charges and sign a non-disclosure agreement, stating she will not discuss this matter publicly." Jennifer looked at me. I looked at my mother. She still would not meet my eyes. "No," I said. My mother's attorney frowned. "Miss Harper, this is a generous offer. Your mother is on a fixed income. She cannot afford to pay a lump sum. This is the best you are going to get." I leaned forward. "It is not about the money. It is about accountability. I do not want a non-disclosure agreement. I do not want to pretend this did not happen. I want my mother to admit what she did. I want her to apologize. And I want the full amount, with interest, within 1 year. Not 5. 1. My mother finally spoke. Her voice was shaking. "I do not have that kind of money. I cannot pay you $40,000 in 1 year. It is impossible." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. Scared. Human. And I realized something. I did not want to destroy her. I did not want revenge. I just wanted the truth. "Then sell something," I said quietly. "Downsize. Get a job. Figure it out. You figured out how to steal from me. You can figure out how to pay me back." Her attorney started to protest, but my mother held up her hand. She looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something like respect in her eyes. "You are right," she said. "I was wrong. I stole from you. I justified it in my head, told myself it was for the good of the family, but that was a lie. I did it because I have always favored Brittany. I have always given her everything and expected you to be fine with nothing. And I am sorry. I am so sorry." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I did not let them fall. "Thank you," I said. "That is all I ever wanted to hear." The mediator cleared her throat. "So, do we have an agreement?" My mother nodded. "I will pay back the full amount within 18 months. I will sell my jewelry, some furniture, whatever I need to, and I will agree to no non-disclosure agreement. Deanna can tell whoever she wants what I did. I deserve that." Jennifer looked at me. I thought about it. 18 months was longer than I wanted, but it was reasonable, and my mother had apologized. She had taken responsibility. That mattered. "Okay," I said. 18 months, but if you miss a single payment, I go to the police." "Understood." My mother nodded. "Understood." We signed the papers. It was done. As we left the building, my father put his arm around my shoulders. "I am proud of you," he said. "You did the right thing." I leaned into him. "I hope so, Dad. I really hope so." That night, I got a text from Brittany. It was short. "I heard what happened at the mediation. Thank you for not destroying Mom completely. I know I do not deserve your kindness. I am trying to be better. Maybe someday we can talk. Maybe someday you can forgive me." I read it 3 times, then I wrote back. "Maybe someday, but not today." The renovations on the house started 2 weeks after the mediation. Patricia had hired a crew of contractors who worked quickly and efficiently. They installed the grab bars, widened the doorways, updated the kitchen with easy-reach cabinets, and a walk-in shower in the downstairs bathroom. The house was being transformed from a place of tension and secrets into a place of safety and care. My father watched the progress with tears in his eyes. I never thought I would feel at home here again, he said. I had gone back to work at the hospital. My supervisor had been understanding about my leave and welcomed me back with open arms. It felt good to put on my scrubs again, to care for patients, to use my skills. But I was different now. I was not the same person who had left 6 months ago. I was stronger. I was more sure of myself. I did not apologize for taking up space anymore. My mother had started making payments. The first one came through exactly on time, $600. It was not the full amount we had agreed on for the month, but her attorney explained that she was selling things and the payments would increase as she liquidated assets. I accepted it. I was not interested in making her life harder than it already was. I just wanted what was owed to me. Brittany and Kyle had moved to North Carolina, living in Kyle's parents' basement with their 2 kids. I heard updates through Patricia, who still had connections in town. Brittany had gotten a job at a call center. Kyle was working construction. They were struggling, but they were making it. Part of me felt sorry for them. Part of me thought they deserved it. Mostly, I just felt relieved that they were far away. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the grocery store when I ran into someone I had not seen in years. His name was Marcus, and we had worked together at the hospital before I took my leave. He was tall, with warm brown skin and an easy smile. We had always gotten along, but I had been too focused on my father's care to think about anything else. Now, standing in the produce section, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Interest. "Deanna, I heard you were back. How are you?" He seemed genuinely happy to see me. We talked for a few minutes, catching up. He told me about a new program the hospital was starting. I told him about my father's progress. And then, as we were saying goodbye, he said, "Hey, would you want to grab coffee sometime? I would love to hear more about what you have been going through. You seem different." In a good way. I hesitated. The old Deanna would have made an excuse, would have said she was too busy, too tired, too focused on other things. But the new Deanna smiled and said, "I would like that." We exchanged numbers. As I walked away, I felt a flutter of hope. Maybe there was room in my life for more than just survival. Maybe there was room for joy. That night, Patricia came over for dinner. She had become a regular fixture in our lives, stopping by several times a week, always bringing food or flowers or just her presence. My father adored her. They would sit for hours, talking about their childhood, laughing about old memories, grieving their mother together. It was healing for both of them. "I have something to tell you both," Patricia said as we sat down to eat. She looked nervous, which was unusual for her. "I have been thinking a lot about family, about what it means, about what we owe each other. And I have made a decision. I am updating my will. When I pass, everything I have will be split between my kids and you, Deanna. I want to make sure you are taken care of. I want to make up for the years I was not there." I felt tears spring to my eyes. "Aunt Patricia, you do not have to do that. You have already done so much." She reached across the table and took my hand. "I want to. You remind me so much of my mother. She would be so proud of you. You stood up for what was right, even when it was hard, even when it cost you. That takes courage, and I want to honor that." My father was crying too. We all were. It was a moment of pure, uncomplicated love. A few days later, I got a call from my mother. It was the first time we had spoken since the mediation. "Deanna, I need to talk to you." Her voice was strained. "Okay, what is it?" She took a breath. "Your father has filed for legal separation. His attorney sent me papers yesterday. He wants to divide our assets, separate our finances. He says he cannot trust me anymore, and I do not blame him. But I need you to know that this is killing me. I know I made terrible choices. I know I hurt you and him, but I never stopped loving him. I never stopped loving you." I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to comfort her, to tell her it would be okay. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt too many times, stayed silent. "I am sorry you are hurting, Mom, but Dad has to do what is best for him. And so do I." She was quiet for a long moment. "I understand. I just wanted you to know that I am trying. I am in therapy. I am working on myself. I am trying to understand why I did the things I did, why I favored Brittany, why I was so cruel to you, and I am sorry. I know I have said it before, but I need to say it again. I am so sorry. Thank you." I said. And I meant it. I did not forgive her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I appreciated that she was trying. I have to go, Mom. Take care of yourself. I hung up and sat in the quiet of my room. I thought about forgiveness, about whether it was something I owed her or something I needed for myself. I did not have an answer, but I knew I did not have to decide right now. Marcus and I went for coffee the following weekend. We talked for 3 hours, long after our cups were empty. He told me about his divorce, about his daughter who lived with her mother in another state, about how hard it was to feel like he was failing at being a father. I told him about my family, about the betrayal, about how I was learning to build a new life from the wreckage of the old one. He listened without judgment, without trying to fix anything. He just listened. "You are one of the strongest people I have ever met," he said as we walked to our cars. "I do not know if I could have done what you did." I smiled. "You would have. When you love someone, you protect them. That is what you do." He leaned against his car and looked at me. "Can I take you to dinner next week? A real date, not just coffee." I felt my heart skip. I would like that. As I drove home, I thought about how much my life had changed in just a few months. I had lost my mother, in a way. I had lost my sister, but I had gained so much more. I had gained my father's respect. I had gained Patricia's love. I had gained my own self-respect. And maybe, just maybe, I was gaining the chance at something new with Marcus. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it felt full of possibility. 6 months had passed since that devastating Thanksgiving dinner. The house was completely renovated now, bright and open and safe. My father moved through it with confidence, his dementia symptoms stable, his spirit lighter than I had seen it in years. Patricia visited every Sunday, bringing fresh flowers and home-cooked meals. We had started a new tradition. The 3 of us sitting on the back porch in the evenings, watching the sunset, talking about everything and nothing. My mother had made every payment on time. She had sold her jewelry, her designer handbags, a collection of antiques she had inherited from her mother. She had even taken a part-time job at a bookstore. I had received $32,000 so far, and the rest was scheduled to come over the next year. I had put the money in a high-yield savings account. I was not sure what I would do with it yet, but knowing it was there, knowing it was finally mine, gave me a sense of security I had never had before. Brittany and I had started texting occasionally. Nothing deep, nothing heavy. Just small updates. She had sent me a picture of her kids on the first day of school. I had sent her a picture of Dad in his renovated kitchen. We were not close. We might never be close again. But we were not enemies either. We were just 2 people trying to move forward from a painful past. One afternoon, my father and I drove out to the Grand Canyon. It had been on his bucket list for as long as I could remember, but there had never been time or money or energy to make it happen. Patricia had helped us plan the trip, even paying for the flights and hotel. "You 2 deserve this," she had said. Standing at the edge of the canyon, watching the sun paint the rocks in shades of orange and red and gold, my father turned to me with tears in his eyes. "Thank you for giving me my life back." I held his hand. "You gave me mine, Dad." And it was true. In standing up for him, in fighting for what was right, I had found myself. I had found my voice. I had found my worth. Marcus and I had been dating for 4 months now. It was slow and careful, both of us healing from our own wounds, but it was real. He had met my father and Patricia, and they adored him. His daughter had even come to visit once, a shy 10-year-old with her father's smile. She had liked me. That felt like a gift. One evening, as Marcus and I sat on my porch swing watching fireflies, he said, "Do you ever regret it? Standing up to your family the way you did?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "It was the hardest thing I have ever done, but it was also the most important, because I learned something I had needed to learn my whole life." He looked at me, waiting. "What was that?" "I learned that family is not about blood. It is not about obligation. It is about love and respect, and showing up for the people who show up for you. I learned that I do not have to settle for being treated like I do not matter. I learned that my worth is not determined by whether my mother loves me or my sister respects me. My worth is determined by how I treat people, by the choices I make, by the integrity I bring to my life. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is tell the truth, even when it hurts. He squeezed my hand. That is beautiful. I smiled. It is also really hard, but it is worth it. We sat in comfortable silence, the sounds of the evening wrapping around us. I thought about that Thanksgiving dinner, about Brittany's smug announcement, about the moment I decided to speak up. I thought about all the moments that had followed, the pain and the anger and the grief. But I also thought about the moments of grace, Patricia coming back into our lives, my father healing, Marcus sitting beside me, the house filled with light instead of secrets. I had lost a lot, but I had gained so much more. I had gained peace. I had gained dignity. I had gained a family that was built on love instead of obligation. And I had gained the knowledge that I could face the hardest things and come out stronger on the other side. Justice had been served, not through revenge, but through truth and boundaries. My mother was paying back what she owed, not just in money but in accountability. Brittany was learning to stand on her own. My father was safe and cared for, and I was free. The separation between my parents had been finalized. My father had kept the house, and my mother had moved into a small apartment across town. They were cordial when they spoke, which was not often. I did not know if they would ever truly reconcile, but that was not my responsibility. My responsibility was to my own healing, to my own life, to the people who had shown me real love. One Sunday afternoon, Patricia, my father, Marcus, and I were sitting in the backyard, grilling burgers and watching the clouds drift by. Patricia raised her glass of lemonade and said, "I want to make a toast. To family, the one we are born into and the one we choose. To second chances and new beginnings. And to Deanna, who had the courage to save us all." We clinked our glasses together, and I felt something settle deep in my chest. It was contentment. It was joy. It was home. As the sun set and the fireflies came out, I thought about the life lesson this whole experience had taught me. It was this: you cannot control how other people treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to stay silent and accept mistreatment, or you can choose to speak up and demand better. Speaking up might cost you relationships, might cost you the illusion of a happy family, might cost you peace in the short term, but in the long term, it gives you something far more valuable. It gives you yourself. I had chosen myself. I had chosen truth. I had chosen dignity. And in doing so, I had found a life worth living. A life filled with people who truly loved me. A life where I did not have to shrink or hide or apologize for existing. A life where I mattered. And that was worth everything I had lost along the way. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you are in a situation where you are being taken advantage of, where you are being disrespected or manipulated or ignored, know this: you deserve better. You deserve to be seen and valued and loved. And sometimes, the most radical act of self-love is to stand up and say, "No more." It will not be easy. It will not be comfortable. But it will be worth it, because on the other side of that pain is freedom. And freedom is the greatest gift you can give yourself. My name is Deanna, and this is my story. It is a story of betrayal and loss, but it is also a story of courage and redemption. It is a story that reminds us that we are not defined by the people who hurt us. We are defined by how we rise after we have been knocked down. And I rose. And so can you. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have stayed silent to keep the peace? Or would you have spoken up like I did? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to hear more stories like this one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who might be struggling to find their voice. And remember, you are stronger than you think. You are worthy of love and respect, and you are never alone. Thank you for listening. I wish you courage, peace, and the strength to always choose yourself.